The Manosphere is a loose network of online communities, blogs, influencers, and forums focused on men's issues, masculinity, dating, self-improvement, and gender relations. It includes very different groups ranging from men's mental health advocates to highly controversial spaces like incel forums or extreme red pill ideology communities. Many younger men are being drawn to these forums online through association with crypto money and OnlyFans, as depicted in the current Netflix documentary hosted by Louis Theroux. Because of this diversity, evaluating the Manosphere requires nuance. Some parts focus on support and growth, while others have been criticized for promoting harmful attitudes. Today we take a balanced, detailed look at the main pros and cons. Let's get into it. Pros of the Manosphere. 1. Bringing attention to men's mental health. One of the strongest positive contributions is that some Manosphere spaces openly discuss male loneliness, depression, suicide, and emotional isolation, topics historically stigmatized among men. Benefits include encouraging men to talk about struggles, discussing male suicide rates, which are higher in most countries, challenging the idea that men must always appear strong, creating peer support communities. In some cases, these spaces act as informal support networks for men who feel they lack social support elsewhere. 2. Focus on self-improvement. Many communities promote self-development themes such as physical fitness, financial independence, discipline and goal setting, confidence building, social skills. This often overlaps with general self-help culture rather than gender politics. Common positive messages include: take responsibility for your life, improve what you can control, build competence before seeking validation. At their best, these messages can motivate positive lifestyle changes. 3. Discussion of male-specific issues. Some parts of the Manosphere raise issues they believe receive insufficient mainstream attention, such as male educational underachievement, workplace fatalities, mostly male, family court concerns, false accusations, a controversial but frequently discussed topic, lack of male role models. Whether or not one agrees with all claims, these discussions can broaden debate about gender issues beyond a single perspective. 4. Community for socially isolated men. Some participants join because they feel socially excluded, unsuccessful in dating, lacking guidance, disconnected from traditional support structures. For some, simply finding others with similar experiences reduces feelings of isolation. This is particularly relevant in an era of declining community institutions, increased online socialization, rising loneliness statistics. 5. Criticism of rigid gender expectations. Ironically, some Manosphere spaces criticize traditional expectations placed on men, such as being the sole provider, suppressing emotions, being valued only for status or income, never showing vulnerability. In some cases, this overlaps with broader conversations about healthy masculinity. Cons of the Manosphere. Let's talk negatives. 1. Risk of misogyny and hostility toward women. The biggest criticism is that some segments promote generalizations about women, adversarial views of gender relations, distrust or resentment toward women, reduction of relationships to power dynamics. In more extreme communities, this can become dehumanizing rhetoric, harassment culture, reinforcement of grievance narratives. This is why the Manosphere often receives strong criticism from researchers and media. 2. Echo chambers and radicalization risk. Algorithm-driven platforms can push users toward increasingly extreme content. A typical pathway sometimes observed: self-help content, dating advice, gender grievance discussions, highly ideological material. Not everyone follows this path, but critics argue that vulnerable individuals may be drawn deeper into negative worldviews. Echo chambers can reinforce confirmation bias, victim narratives, us versus them thinking. 3. Oversimplified explanations of complex social problems. Some content frames complex issues such as dating, inequality, or social change in overly simplistic ways. For example, biological determinism arguments, conspiracy-style explanations of social trends, one-size-fits-all dating theories. These narratives can sometimes remove nuance, discourage personal accountability, promote fatalistic thinking. 4. Commercial exploitation. Some influencers monetize insecurity through expensive courses, coaching programs, alpha male branding, status products. Critics argue that some figures profit by amplifying fears, selling solutions to exaggerated problems, creating dependency on their content. This is not unique to the manosphere, it exists across self-help industries, but it is a frequent criticism. 5. Negative psychological effects in extreme spaces. While some communities support growth, others may reinforce resentment, hopelessness, cynicism toward relationships, social withdrawal. For example, some extreme groups frame dating as unwinnable or society as irreparably biased, which may discourage constructive engagement with life. Researchers studying online extremism sometimes note that grievance-focused communities can worsen mental health if they reinforce helplessness rather than solutions. 6. Blurring between helpful advice and ideology. A key difficulty is that useful advice, fitness, confidence, discipline, is sometimes mixed with ideological claims about gender or society. This can make it difficult for newcomers to distinguish evidence-based advice, personal opinion, ideological framing, pseudoscience. This mixture is one reason the manosphere is difficult to categorize as purely positive or negative. A nuanced reality, it is not one movement. A major misunderstanding is treating the manosphere as a single ideology. It is more accurate to think of it as an umbrella containing very different groups, including men's mental health advocates, fathers' rights groups, self-improvement communities, dating strategy groups, highly controversial extremist forums. These groups often disagree with each other. Key academic perspective. Researchers often describe the manosphere as reflecting real social concerns, like male loneliness, but argue that some communities respond in counterproductive ways by framing problems primarily as gender conflict rather than social complexity. In other words, potentially constructive core questions. Why are many men lonely? Why are male suicide rates high? Why do some men struggle socially? Potentially harmful answers sometimes given. Blame women. Blame society entirely. Reject cooperation between genders. The difference between constructive and destructive spaces often lies in whether the focus is growth versus grievance. Conclusion. The manosphere is neither entirely positive nor entirely negative. Its impact depends heavily on which communities one examines. Potential positives. Support for struggling men. Encouragement of self-improvement. Discussion of male mental health. Raising neglected issues. Potential negatives. Misogyny in some spaces. Echo chambers. Radicalization risks. Commercial exploitation. Reinforcement of resentment. A balanced assessment suggests the manosphere reflects genuine social needs among some men, but that some communities may respond to those needs in unhealthy or polarizing ways. The best thing to do, we believe, is to make up your own mind and decide for yourself what you want to believe and take from the manosphere. For a real man is someone who can and will always make up his own mind based on what he believes is right for him. A real man doesn't act the way these influencers do, especially towards women. The choice is very much yours. Thanks for watching and see you all next time.